Good day, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us on Sports and Money. I'm your host, Ben Parker. We're going to be talking today about a topic that is without doubt the leading sports story of the week, and that is the scandal that erupted in the college basketball world, affecting several major universities, a few assistant head coaches, one big-time head coach, two major shoe companies, and a host of other people and companies on the periphery. Now, no doubt, there's many factors and many people involved, but there's a couple of heavy hitters, and that's what we're going to cover today. How does this start, and how does it end up with the kind of scandal that we saw uncovered during the past few days? Let's start with the shoe companies. Without a doubt, make no mistake about it, the shoe companies are the heavy hitters in this process. They have the most money invested, therefore they have the most to lose. Let's go with the shoe companies as they begin to recruit these players and try to recognize this talent. Anybody can figure out how to sell a shoe. Get somebody famous to wear your shoe. When people see them on TV, especially the kids, they'll want to buy these shoes. So you get somebody like LeBron James or Kevin Durant to wear your shoes, and instantly people want to buy those shoes as well. The problem is Kevin Durant and LeBron James aren't going to last forever. At some point they will retire, and then you'll be looking for the next superstar. If you wait until that guy has already blossomed into a talented star in the NBA, you're way too late. Some other shoe company will already have him locked up to a long-term contract for a whole lot of money. So essentially there is a race on between the shoe companies to identify the next wave of great players while they're still in high school. Now, make no mistake about that recruiting and that scouting starts while some of these kids are still in grade school, while they're on the AAU circuit, while they're traveling up and down the road with their travel basketball teams. These shoe companies and the universities are recruiting these guys and scouting them out as well. So very easily, by the time a kid is in his junior or even sophomore year of high school, he may already have a particular shoe that he wears. He may already have been approached by a shoe company and probably already approached by several universities as well, depending on how talented he is. So once you've identified a group of players that you believe to be the next wave of potential superstars, you try to get as many of those players as you can wearing your shoes. Of course, the players are all for it. They're getting free shoes from the shoe company out of that, and it's a great perk for them. The next step, once you've identified these players, this group of players that you believe have a tremendous amount of talent, and once you've got a certain number of them wearing your shoe, the next step is to get that kid, that player, into a college or university that also already wears your shoe brand. Why is that? Why is that so important? Because you definitely don't want him going to another university that does not wear your brand of shoe. If he goes to another university where they wear a different brand of shoe, he's going to be exposed daily to coaches and representatives of the other shoe company who are going to be trying to get him to switch brands. So you don't want him exposed to that daily. You want to try to funnel that kid as best you can into a university that already has a deal to wear your shoes. Hold that thought for a second. We're going to leave the shoe company there because they're a major player in this. But there's another major player in this, and that is the head basketball coaches of these universities. Now, if you've just been given a brand new job at a major university coaching basketball, the first thing you need to do is figure out how to get some talent in there. Without the talent, you just won't win. No matter how good a coach you are, no matter how much X's and O's you know, if you don't get the talent into that university, you're going to be fired in a matter of 3 or 4 years. It's a very short timeline. You've got to get talent in as quick as you can. So what you do, you get an assistant coach or 2 assistant coaches who are very good at recruiting. Usually these guys have a lot of connections. They also have a lot of charisma. They have the ability to get kids to come to the university to play for them. You may not always ask these recruiters how they get kids in. You may not want to know. What you do know is that they have the ability to get people to listen to them, to get kids to come to your school and play for you. So here are the 2 major players. You've got the head basketball coaches at these universities who desperately need the talent to come to their universities, and you've got the shoe companies on the other hand who desperately need those kids to go to particular universities to continue to wear the brand of that shoe company. Now, these 2 heavy hitters are sitting here looking for kids to come to their school. Enter the third party. That's the kid himself. Let's say the kid already is wanting to go to that university, already likes that university, and is already wearing the shoe company's shoe. Now, he comes to you and he says, "Hey, coach, listen, I like your school. I like the shoe I'm wearing. Trouble is, this shoe company over here is offering me $10,000 to go to that university over there. What do you do if you're head basketball coach? Well, what a lot of these guys have been doing, and this is the crux of it. This is where everything changes. So far, nothing's been illegal. You may be looking at some unethical things. You may be looking at some things that are kind of shadowy or in the gray area. But so far, we haven't hit an illegal point. This is where it becomes against the rules. This is where it gets to be illegal. The very instant that money changes hands, that's where all the problems start. So this kid comes to you and he says, hey, this other shoe company and this other university have offered me $10,000 to go and play at that university, or they've offered my family $10,000 for me to come and play at that university. You certainly can't just let that kid go. If you're the shoe company, you need to sell shoes, you need to keep these superstars, you need to compete for them. And so what the coach is going to do, he's going to have the assistant coach, or he may even go himself, instantly call up the shoe company and say, hey guys, I need this kid to come to my school. And this is what has happened at the University of Louisville, allegedly. It's what's happened at the University of Arizona, allegedly. And if you think those are the only ones, you're sadly mistaken. This happens all over the basketball world, and it probably does not leave out very many schools if we were to know the truth of the whole thing. But that point aside, this happens a lot. So the coach or the assistant coach calls up the shoe company and says, hey guys, can you send a little money our way? We need to get some money to this kid. We need to get some money to his family. If the numbers we're hearing are true, and we have no reason to believe they're not, the bidding could get as high as $100,000, depending on how talented the kid is and how desperately the school and the shoe company need him to go to that school. Certainly the more talented he is, the more talent that he's shown, he's going to get a lot more money, and his family's going to get a lot more money to go to. Now, you ask this question, because this is important. Why would the shoe companies be willing to give $100,000 to a high schooler to go to a particular university to continue to wear their brand? There's no way of knowing if that player is actually ever going to even make it to the NBA, much less become an NBA superstar, famous enough for kids to want to wear his shoe when he becomes a superstar. And so what the shoe companies do, it's a great question, what the shoe companies do, they invest money in a lot of these players. They invest a lot of money in all kinds of these players. If you invest in enough of the good ones, eventually you know that you'll get 2 or 3 or 4 superstars down the road, and you will be making hundreds of millions of dollars, in some cases billions of dollars, depending on how popular the kid becomes. So there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot of money at stake. There's a lot of jobs at stake for these head coaches. And there's a lot of pressure and stress involved to get these kids to come to your school and to get them to wear your shoe. If you're looking for a victim in all this, you're not likely to find one. If you're looking for somebody to feel sorry for, you're not likely to find one of those either. The shoe companies, they certainly know the rules. They know where the law has been broken and where it hasn't. They know where they are and aren't supposed to go. They know what they are and aren't supposed to do. So no victims at the shoe companies. This question gets asked a lot. What about the head coaches? The head coaches usually always say, I didn't know this was going on. This was one bad apple. I had one assistant coach who was doing this behind my back. I didn't know this was going on. That is really difficult to believe it when any head coach says that, and that's for a couple of reasons. If he is lying, and usually they are, you need to understand, no head coach is not going to know what goes on in his program. Anything of significance. Listen, they talk to these players, they're involved in these players' lives, they put them on a schedule of classes, they put them on a schedule of eating, they put them on a schedule of training. There is really not too long a period of time when they're not involved in these kids' lives, and anything that's going on in that basketball program, usually the head coach knows about and has a lot of control over. It doesn't mean he knows everything, it doesn't mean he controls everything, but anything of significance, you can rest assured he is going to know about it. Now, you might could hook up some of these coaches to a polygraph test when they say, I didn't know this was going on, and some of them might actually pass. For this reason, I mentioned it earlier, if you hire an assistant coach and he's an excellent recruiter and you know he has a reputation for being able to bring in talent, you may not ask him what his methods are. You just may not want to know. That assistant coach, who by the way is making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in his own right, may simply be under an edict. You get the talent in, you get the recruits in, you get the kids in, I don't want to know how you do it. So when somebody like Rick Pitino says, I wasn't aware this was going on, technically he may be telling the truth. He may actually not have known how the assistant coaches were getting this done. In Pitino's case, allegedly, if what we're hearing from some of the reports is true, then it looks like Pitino himself was involved, probably getting what I would consider to be a little sloppy at the University of Louisville. Very often, though, these head coaches can deny knowing about any of this because they've simply told their assistant coaches, you take care of it, you get the talent in, and I really don't want to know how you do it. You just find a way to get them in. So they might technically could pass the polygraph test, but they understand the game. What about the kids? I've heard some people out there say, listen, man, the kids are getting used, the kids are being victims. I don't find any victims there either. I don't find anybody to feel sorry for there either. Listen, these kids and their friends and their families understand how this game works. They talk about this when they're traveling up and down the roads, when they're going to their schools. Listen, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, they know if you're good enough to play basketball at a college level or potentially an NBA level, you can not only be getting lots of free shoes, you can get lots of money handed your way as well. They talk about this. This is something that is no secret to any of them. They understand how the game works. They may not always know where the money comes from or how many hands it passes through before it gets to them. But they understand if I'm good enough to play this game at a high level, I can get more than just free shoes. I can get a lot of money. So in some cases, you'll have the families, even the mom or the dad or the friends of the player who have talked to this player and told him, hey, if you really want to go to that school and wear that shoe, you might be able to do it and get a lot of extra money for it as well. So listen, you're not going to find a whole lot of victims in this scenario. You aren't going to find a whole lot of people to feel sorry for in this scenario. It's a very shady business. It goes on all over the place. And listen, some of these assistant coaches who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, some of the kickbacks they're getting off of this are really very small amounts, $10,000, $20,000 to get some of these players to come to some of these schools. But for them, there's two reasons why they continue to do it. Number one, it's job security. As long as you're getting the talent to your school, then the head coach that you're working for continues to keep his job. As long as you're getting the talent in the school, then you get to keep your job. You get to continue to have hundreds of thousands of dollars as well. Also, you just simply have the greed factor. People think that they're not going to get caught at this. They want an extra $20,000. And who wouldn't like an extra $20,000? Even if you're making a few $100,000 a year, an extra $20,000 can still buy you a whole lot of things. And so simply the greed factor kicks in as well. So it's job security for the assistant coaches to try to get the talent into these schools. That way they can keep their jobs as well. You just have simple greed that enters into this. Listen, there's not a whole lot of victims in this. There's just simply a whole lot of greed. Everybody knows how the game is played. Now, I've been very hard on these people, and rightfully so. Everybody knows the rules. The families know the rules, the player knows the rules, the shoe companies know the rules, the coaches know the rules, the assistant coaches know the rules, the universities know the rules. A lot of people just turn a blind eye to this kind of stuff, but it is against the rules, and as soon as money changes hands and it begins to constitute fraud, then the FBI gets involved, and you can have serious things such as people actually going to jail for this. And I've been very hard on these people, and rightfully so, because you do have people out there who have lost their jobs simply because they would not allow this kind of thing into their program. Therefore, they weren't able to get the talent in because that talent went somewhere else where they could get paid a lot of money to go to a different school, go to a different shoe company. You've got really good coaches out there who have not been able to continue to coach at a high level because they weren't willing to enter into this kind of graft and trickery and this kind of thing. So to be certain, there's a lot of people cheating out there. There's a lot of people doing things simply because they want money and want to keep their jobs. Now, having said all of that about these companies, these players, and these coaches, I want to come down to this final point and this conclusion. Really, all of this, in my opinion, could be done away with. In my opinion, you could really get rid of all of this, not have any of these worries about any of these players, these money exchanges, these assistant coaches, these companies. All of this could be done under the norm if the NCAA were to change their rules. Currently, if you are a player on a team, basketball, football, etc., those are the big ones, you are not allowed to be taking money from anybody for any reason when it comes to your playing skill, not until you are out of college. And that can certainly get you kicked off a basketball team, it can get your head coach fired, it can get the university in all kinds of trouble. But if the NCAA were to change their rules, and I really feel strongly about this, and this is a question that lots of people all over the country are asking, if you are a talented player, why should you not be able to get money for your skill? If you are so successful as a basketball player, even at the high school level, that a shoe company wants to come to you and give you money to represent their shoe company, why shouldn't you be allowed to take it? If somebody wants to give you money to wear their product, or simply wants to give you the free product, why shouldn't you be allowed to take that even if you are in universities? It's a school, we live in a free country, you're a talented player, why shouldn't you be allowed to do that? And really all of this could go away if the NCAA were simply to update its rules. There's a lot of forces that go against that, there's a lot of money at stake involved in that, there's a lot of power on the line, and really I'm not trying to get into the NCAA side of things, but that is the crux of all this. All of these illegalities, the thing that constitutes fraud, all these under-the-table dealings, the assistant coach problems, the head coach problems. If you're a family of a player, you've got a son who's incredibly talented, why shouldn't you, along with your son, be able to get to sit down with the shoe company and put together a deal whereby you can make thousands of dollars, even maybe while you're still in high school, maybe the senior year of high school, while you continue through college? Why shouldn't you be able to wear this? Listen, we're not talking about rape or murder here. We're not talking about stealing or breaking and entering. These people are not street criminals. They are not out there breaking the law in terms of doing really horrible things. What they're simply doing is business. The business is illegal. So again, I'm not trying to suggest that you should feel sorry for any of these people. They all know the rules, and the rules have existed for quite some time. What I am saying is that maybe the rules should be changed. Maybe there should be a governing body that oversees some of that. But listen, any of us, no matter what our talent or skill is, we want to be able to take that talent and that skill and turn it into money. A lot of these players are never going to make it to the NBA. A lot of them are never actually going to make it even to an NBA bench someday. So really their chance to make money at this is in high school and in college. By the time high school and college is over, if it's determined that they're not going to go to the NBA, guess what? The shoe company is just going to walk away. There's no more money there for them. So really, you are denying, in a lot of cases, you are denying the opportunity for these players to make any money at all at the high school and college levels when they still have a lot of potential there. So I really think it's something the NCAA should take a strong look at over the next few years. And I'm sure there are people who do take a look at that. There's other people that are dead set against that. So keep in mind, these are business dealings. Under current rules, they are illegal business dealings, but in my opinion, they should be made to be legal. That way you'd have a fair playing field. That way the coach who really does not want to go against the rules and break the laws has an equal chance to compete against the coach who would like to go against the rules and break the laws. And so keep an eye on that over the next few weeks, over the next few days. You're going to see a lot more of this exposed, a lot more of it come out. And for those of you who maybe wonder what's going on, maybe it sheds a little bit of light. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you next time on Sports and Money. Have a great day. Bye.